Good evening and welcome to the January 30th Board Business Meeting of the Germantown Board of Education. Thank you all for coming tonight. We have a lot of very special guests tonight. Thank you all for coming. I do want to mention one guest in particular, that's Scott Benjamin, who's chairman of the board of the Arlington Board of Education, as well as our Tennessee School Board Association Delta Director. Thank you for making the trip out tonight, especially on your wife's birthday. And first item, we are called to order at 6:04 p.m. Next item on the agenda is a moment of silence. Thank you. If anyone would like to speak during the public comment portion of the board meeting, we do have forms out in the lobby entitled Citizens to be Heard forms. If you'll fill those out, and please bring them to our board secretary, Joellen Drulinger, here. Next item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Oaf, if you'd please lead us in the pledge. Next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. The district has asked us to add 2 disciplinary hearing authority board appeals as board action items 9A and 9B, which would then make approval of purchase security glass film item 9C and Germantown Board of Education resolution honoring Jason Manuel 9D. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as amended requested by the district?
I move to amend the agenda as follows. Add DHA Board Appeal for Student 1 as agenda item 9A, and add DHA Board Appeal for Student 2 as agenda item 9B.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Curry, seconded by Dr. Chatham. Is there any discussion? Ms. Drulinger, if you please call the roll.
Dr. Chatham.
Yes.
Mr. Curry.
Yes.
Ms. Griffith. Yes. Ms. Oaf.
Yes.
And Chairman Strain.
Yes. Motion passes. Next on the agenda is recognition and awards. Mr. Manuel.
Well, our first recognition, we have our guest here, Mr. Benjamin. If you'll come up to the microphone, please, and press the green button so that you can speak. And I think the plaque is at your feet there.
Hey, thank you for having me. Thank you for moving me up. My wife will appreciate that very much. So thank you, Chairman Strain, Board, and Superintendent Manuel. It's my privilege to be here tonight to present this board with the TSBA Board of Distinction Award. This is one of TSBA's most prestigious awards. It doesn't go out to just everybody. There's a lot of work that goes into this, and so I commend you for meeting all the requirements that are necessary to receive this award for sure. There are 4 key areas that you guys met and that you all should know about. Those are in planning, in policy, in promotion, and in board development. And so they had to meet a lot of key indicators to successfully be a board of distinction. So as you well know, those requirements are extensive, and not every board qualifies for a board of distinction. However, you are among the select few that will be receiving this award. So on behalf of the Tennessee School Board Association, I am proud to present the Board of Distinction Award to the Germantown Board of Education. Congratulations.
Tell us what to do, Kate. Do that way. We need to go that way.
up and down and up and down. You're next. So we have a few awards tonight. So first, we get to recognize some of our incredible staff members who work day in, day out, numerous hours to make sure that we're providing the best for our children. So we're going to recognize some of those recipients this year. So when I call your name, if you would please come up. First, in grade bands pre-K through fourth grade, our teacher of the year is Miss Anna Brignoli. Come on. Hey there, you stay right there. Miss Anna Brignoli is an amazing fourth grade math teacher at Farmington Elementary School. Miss Brignoli is widely known for getting the best results in teaching math, and she believes it's important to look at how students feel about their own learning, not just their test scores or grades. Miss Brignoli also focuses on making sure teachers at Farmington Elementary work together to help students do better, especially in math. Her students consistently demonstrate a high level of proficiency due to her instruction and guidance. Ms. Brignoli has received national recognition, winning the Presidential Award for Excellence in Mathematics and Science Teaching, one of the highest honors a math teacher can achieve. Ms. Brignoli believes that teaching and encouraging students is how she is making a positive impact on our community, and we agree. It is evident that she is making a difference one child at a time. Congratulations to Ms. Brignoli on being named the GMSD Pre-K through 4 Teacher of the Year. Call you back up in just a second. Next, for grades 5 through 8, Teacher of the Year, can we please have Miss Elizabeth Hume come on up? Miss Elizabeth Hume is a dedicated 6th grade social studies teacher at Houston Middle School since 2014. She is known for making social studies exciting. Miss Hume is known for getting her students to be creative in how they learn, whether it's using popular songs to fit what they're learning about, different ancient civilizations, or fun group projects like acting out TV interviews with Egyptian pharaohs or making newspapers about ancient Greece. Miss Hume's work extends much beyond the typical school day. She started the Days of Diversity program, and she's journeyed to places like Pompeii and Rome with her students to see the sites they have studied, and even created a class called 901 History. She can often be seen cheering on students at their extracurricular events. Her way of teaching and being involved in the community shows how much she cares about her students and helping them learn both inside and outside of school, and her dedication does not go unnoticed. Congratulations to Miss Hume on being named the GMSD 5 through 8 Teacher of the Year. Next, we have our 9 through 12 Teacher of the Year, Miss Jerica Ross. If Miss Ross could come on up, please. Miss Jerica Ross is a dedicated educator with a passion for mathematics. In her 4 years at HHS, Miss Ross has demonstrated exceptional teaching skills, particularly in AP Calculus, AB, and Algebra 2, leading to outstanding student achievements in state tests and AP exams. Her outcomes are some of the best in the school. Her commitment extends beyond academic excellence. She actively participates in school activities, serving as a leader in the math department and a data lead for the entire school. Ms. Ross's ability to foster student growth and her willingness to invest in her student success are evident in her impressive resume and the accolades from her peers and administrators. Ms. Ross invests in people, and in doing so, her colleagues and her students love her. Congratulations to Ms. Ross on being named the GMSD 9 through 12 Teacher of the Year.
I mean, if you want to go solo, you can.
We can push you out front.
Are you ready?
What are you gonna do?
All right, and action.
It's a boomerang.
Your face. Wow.
Thank you all so much for letting us embarrass you.
Next, we are recognizing our Principal of the Year, Miss Ashley Brassfield. If you could come back up, please. Miss Ashley Brassfield has served as the well-respected principal of Farmington Elementary School since 2019. Her tenure has been marked by fostering trust and community, optimizing instructional schedules, and championing effective educational curriculum. Ms. Brassfield's resume reflects a distinguished 19-year career marked by several achievements and awards as a teacher leader, a student services coordinator, an assistant principal, and finally as the principal of Farmington Elementary School. Whether it's greeting students as they enter the building each morning, stopping by classrooms to celebrate with students, being the first to jump into the dunk tank or inflatable sumo costume, or making sure the halls are decorated for holidays or special occasions, Miss Brassfield's motivation is to do all that she can to make sure that the teachers, students, and families know that they are loved at Farmington. This will be Ashley's first time in receiving GMSD's nomination for Tennessee's Principal of the Year, and we look forward to her continued journey in the statewide competition. Congratulations, Ms. Brassfield, on being named the GMSD Principal of the Year.
Oh, no, I can't do this by myself.
We're all just going to turn it. Congratulations.
And last but not least, for our staff members, we have our Supervisor of the Year, Mr. Ethan Constant. If you can come on up, please. Mr. Ethan Constant is an educational leader with a robust background in teaching and administration. Mr. Constant has been instrumental in the Germantown Municipal School District's success as he has made significant contributions to curriculum development, CTE programming, and professional growth initiatives. Notably, Mr. Constant led the development of both academic and career and technical education CTE initiatives, and he has been pivotal in expanding early post-secondary opportunities and pathways to graduation, enhancing the district's CTE programs with new industry certifications, and securing significant grants to innovate school models. Working with our school counselors and CTE teachers, Mr. Constant has helped to establish a framework for students discovering and developing career-related talents and skills beginning in elementary school, ensuring a cohesive pipeline into middle school and high school. Mr. Constant's contributions have not only advanced our district, but also profoundly impacted our students' readiness for their future endeavors. Congratulations, Mr. Constant, on being named the GMSD Supervisor of the Year.
He's got it here. Thank you.
And now,
You can hold it for a while.
we're going to talk about Houston High School's football program. Before I actually get into the scripted part where I actually read it, I think coming from a background of being a coach and being on the field with kids, people don't see the hours, the investment, the emotional investments that you make in coaching teams year after year, and the struggles you face, because there are struggles constantly whenever you're dealing with large groups of students and parents. It's hard. And to have the success that our team has had this year, and think about the sacrifice that you have made, Coach, and your coaches have made for this school, we know that you bleed black and silver. We know that you are a Mustang through and through, and you were here at the right place at the right time for our kids so that we could do something special, so that we could change their impact, their life, and their experience. And they can have something special that a lot of children who work hard and staff who work hard, they don't get to experience something like this. And you know this. You've done this for years and years. This is something truly remarkable. So we're going to call up our coaches first, and then we're going to call up the team. So if we could first have Ben Bennett come up. Is he here? Collins Day. Here you go, Coach. Here you go, Coach. With Collins. David Schmidt. Is Coach Schmidt in the house? Here you go. Brian Field. Dustin Bauman. There's Dustin. James Thomas. Jared Schmidt. Carlos Mungin. Keith Gibbs. Is Coach Gibbs here? Lawrence Miller. Robert Armbruster. Ronnie Thompson. Tim Fox. Foxy. And Tom Kleeman. If y'all could come on down. So before we get the players down here, like I said, it is a struggle. And there are sacrifices being away from your family, being away in the evenings, and this is a commitment. And you know, a lot of us, we don't do this because of the wins and losses. You're doing this because of the difference that you're making in kids' lives. So we just want to thank you for the sacrifices that you've made for us to serve our students, to serve our Mustangs, and bring them something special. So a little bit about the team before we have all the players come up. The Mustangs of Houston's varsity football program made history this year, winning the state championship for Class 6A Division I football. This season, these coaches and athletes worked hard to earn Houston High School's first ever football state championship. This also marks the 100th state championship for Houston overall. The state championship is not the only reason that their 2023 season was historical. Junior quarterback Chandler Day broke 2 records this season, now holding the records for career and season passing touchdowns at Houston. Damon Cisa was named the MVP for the state championship game. Shawnee Jones dared to return the play after recovering from an injury, and young members of the team stepped up to fill gaps as the season rolled on. With multiple nominations for various Player of the Week awards, these athletes excellently represented Houston and the history of this program. As they headed into the championship, they chose to not listen to any outside noise, and that focus led them to a final record of 13-2 in their 5 playoff games. They outscored their opponents 169-26, and Coach James Thomas, a Houston High School alumni, finally got a ring as a Houston Mustang. Aside from the awards, trophies, and rings, the determination and commitment of these athletes have to one another is what truly makes them champions. They uplifted and encouraged each other all throughout the season, and especially out in the rain during their state championship win. And I've never been so cold and so wet and so happy at the same time. Congratulations to you all. We are so incredibly proud of you. So if we can have all the players come up, and Miss Ross, if you'll come on up too. Yes. and Marvis. If you could come on up. So now we're going to see how skilled you truly are. Can y'all figure out how to get in a picture here? So let's have some of you try to take a knee. Let's try to get some rows. Coaches are nowhere to be seen. If y'all want to, y'all can stand up on this back. They're good not being seen.
Now we'll pause for parents, and then I'm gonna make you dance. My expectations. We have a dance cam here. For TikTok and Instagram. All right, are you ready? Can you do any sort of movement? You have to hear the music in your mind. Any music that, like, of course, we're gonna do whatever. All right, are you ready? And action.
And now, as always, there's cookies in the lobby, and y'all are welcome to leave at this time. Thank y'all. Thank y'all very much.
right. Well, it's hard to get back to a meeting after that kind of celebration. Next item on the agenda are reports. First report, Tennessee Legislative Update. Mr. Curry.
Thank you, Chairman Strain. The 113th General Assembly reconvened on the 8th of January. The month of January has been busy on the legislative front with a number of bills filed related to education and the final committee reports from the House and Senate working groups researching the possibility of rejecting federal funding. Both the House and Senate recommended additional research was needed to determine the feasibility of rejecting federal funding. The House requested additional research into food waste in school cafeterias. The bill filing deadline for the House and Senate is the 31st of January and the 1st of February, respectively. The House and Senate Education Committees are just beginning the process of reviewing bills and will ramp up over the coming weeks. Some bills of note. HB 2181, Senate Bill 2213 by Chairman White and Senator Powers, as introduced, adds pre-kindergarten students with special education needs and peer models to the categories of students who generate education funding through the TISA formula. I just want to make a note, this was the subject of a resolution passed by this board, and I want to express my gratitude to Chairman White for carrying this bill. HB 1795, Senate Bill 1865 by Representative Barrett, Senator Hensley, as introduced, changes from August 15th to May 15th, the date by which a child must be 5 years of age, in order to enroll in kindergarten. This also removes the authorization for directors of schools to allow early enrollment in kindergarten for emotionally mature students who do not otherwise qualify for enrollment based on their birth date. If you're following along, the next bill was pulled today, so we won't cover that one, HB 670. That's been taken off notice. HB 1605, Senate Bill 1722 by Representative Bolso, Senator Hensley, is introduced, prohibits LEAs, which are school districts, and public charter schools from displaying in public schools flags other than the official United States flag and the official Tennessee state flag. HB 1655, Senate Bill 1712 by Representative Sapicki and Senator Hensley, is introduced, enacts the Mathematics Supports Act. This is an initiative designed to assess current mathematics training for teachers, student performance, and determine next steps to improve mathematics performance across the state. There are many other pieces of legislation that have been filed and still more to come over the next 2 days that will impact education across the state. The most talked about legislation to come is the Governor's Education Freedom Scholarship Initiative. This bill was filed and then removed yesterday, so the exact bill number is unknown, but a draft of the bill includes the following highlights. According to the bill draft, any student who is entitled to attend a public school in the state would be eligible for an Education Freedom Scholarship. This amount is set at $7,075. For the 2024-2025 school year, the State Department of Education would award 20,000 vouchers. Half of those would be reserved for students whose family income does not exceed 300% of the federal poverty level, which is 90,000 for a family of 4. The remaining slots would have no income restrictions and would be available on a first-come, first-served basis. For the 2025-26 school year, none of the scholarships are income limited. The state would prioritize students already participating in the program, then prioritize lower income students at 200% and 300% of the federal poverty level. All vouchers would be awarded on a first-come, first-served basis by the department. Students may not participate in both the state's existing Education Savings Accounts program, which is available to Davidson, Shelby, and Hamilton counties, and the Education Freedom Scholarship Program at the same time. There are no accountability mechanisms like annual TCAP testing for Education Freedom Scholarship participants outlined in this bill draft. The legislature could add testing or retention requirements at a later time. Public school students are required to take the state achievement testing via the TCAP each year, as are students in the existing Education Savings Account program. Low performance on those tests in 3rd or 4th grade can result in retention under current state law. While the bill draft specifically outlines 20,000 scholarships to be distributed in the 24-25 school year, it says the program is designed to grow. Quote, It is the intent of the General Assembly that the number of scholarships provided pursuant to this part will increase in subsequent years until all eligible applicants who apply are provided a scholarship, end quote, the bill draft states. This is shaping up to be one of the most impactful legislative sessions for public education in the history of the General Assembly. There are bills that would fundamentally change the direction of public education in the state of Tennessee. I urge our families to pay attention to pending legislation and reach out to your elected officials to make sure your opinion is known. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Curry. Next report is the chairman's report. Board members' district-related activities since our last business meeting include the following. Board members Curry, Griffith, Oaf, and I attended the January 8th, 2024 meeting of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, during which the BMA unanimously approved a joint resolution with the Board of Education opposing state voucher initiatives. Board members Curry and Griffith also attended Houston High basketball games versus Collierville and Bartlett. Board member Chatham also spent time at Houston High for School Board Appreciation Week. Board member Curry also attended multiple Houston High JV girls basketball games and was hosted by Farmington Elementary as part of School Board Appreciation Week, where he had lunch and a tour of the school. Board member Griffith also attended a Houston Middle JV basketball game, presented to the Riverdale PTO, and was hosted by Riverdale for School Board Appreciation Week. Board member Oaf also visited Dogwood Elementary for School Board Appreciation Week and had a wonderful time reading books, building boats, and learning fractions. And finally, I also attended the Municipal School District's legislative breakfast with Superintendent Manuel, board chairs, legislative representatives, and superintendents from neighboring districts, and Tennessee representatives Kevin Vaughn and Ron Gant. Attended the January 2024 meeting of the Dogwood PTO, visited Mr. Murray's World History class, and visited Forest Hill Elementary, where I went for a virtual reality wilderness hike with Mrs. Dancy's kindergarten class, and then had lunch with Forest Hill administration and Officer Mike. And now for my report. School's been back in session for about a month, or I guess 3 weeks if you consider the snow days. But this is our first time together for board business meetings, so I'd like to welcome everyone to the spring 2024 semester. Spring semester is always an exciting one with spring sporting events, theater productions, band concerts, school festivals, and a few months down the road, end-of-year testing, end-of-year celebrations, and graduation. I encourage everyone in the community to come out and enjoy what GMSD has to offer and become involved in your local neighborhood schools. We have an amazing school district full of people who are doing great work and providing students in our community the resources and opportunities to be successful. If you're looking for a way to get involved, please reach out to a school board member, a PTO, or the administration at a school near you. And finally, last week was School Board Appreciation Week. I'd like to thank each one of my fellow board members for the time and energy you devote to your positions. We're charged with a very important role, and I appreciate all you do to serve GMSD students in the community. And that concludes my report. Next report is the financial report. Mr. Jones.
Good evening. You have the financial reports for the month ending December 31st, 2023. Reporting on the balance sheet of total assets, liabilities, and fund balance for the following funds. In the school operating fund, $18.6 million. The cafeteria fund, $1.3 million. Capital projects, $1.7 million. Health insurance fund, $926,000. OPEB trust, $4.9 million. And then the general fixed asset account group, $140 million. A few comments on the statement of revenues and expenses or expenditures. In the school operating fund, the district received in December an additional $694,000 in TISA allocations for outcome measures. The cafeteria fund, SFE, reported a net income of $125,000 year to date. Capital projects, the district received $1.1 million in funding from the Shelby County Commission for capital projects. The health insurance fund, December was another high claims month. $906,000 in medical and pharmacy claims were paid versus $408,000 budgeted. And finally, in the OPEB trust fund, another market recovery in December with unrealized gains on investments totaling $191,000. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Next report is superintendent's report. Mr. Manuel.
So we're going to talk a little bit about our preschool program for families to understand what we do. This is not the same thing as voluntary pre-K. We are one of the few districts in the state, based on our number of free and reduced students, who do not qualify for a voluntary pre-K program. So we're going to talk a little bit about our preschool program. So know that there are 2 preschool classes in each of our elementary schools, Forest Hill, Farmington, Dogwood, and Riverdale Elementary School. And we're actually following 2 different sets of guidelines. We're having to make sure that we're compliant with the Tennessee Department of Education because we are serving special education students, but it's also like a true preschool program, just like any freestanding preschool. And so we have to make sure that we're compliant with the Tennessee Health Department, which governs and regulates preschools around the state of Tennessee. The primary objective behind these classrooms is to make sure that we are providing supports for our special needs students, and that it's an inclusive early intervention learning experience for them. And we're really trying to serve our most vulnerable students with disabilities. All students who may have developmental delays or have issues aren't necessarily going to qualify for the preschool program. Some of those students may be served by having speech services or occupational therapy or physical therapy services where we actually go out into the preschools that are actually serving those students, and we may provide supports that way. So know that it is for our most vulnerable students with disabilities. And the class sizes range really from around 11 students to 18 students. And you can't look at numbers of students when we are staffing these programs. We really have to look at student needs because we know that some students may have severe needs and a lot of needs, and they need a lot of additional supports. I know that that's why you see a range of the class sizes with those students. And this has grown. Know that when we started as a district, I think we had one school that had, I think we had one preschool program at one school when we started as a district 10 years ago. So this has grown, and it's something that we're proud of, that it's an incredible way of how we're serving our families. So how do we staff those preschool classrooms when we say that we have 2 of those classrooms at each of our schools? Know that there's one classroom teacher who's duly certified in early childhood education and special education teacher, so when you look at their licensure. There are 2 paraprofessionals that assist that teacher, and then we have individuals who float into those classrooms to serve students. So like I said, there may be times where you have occupational therapists, physical therapists, and speech language pathologists, SLPs, that are coming into that room, or else taking students and pulling them out to smaller locations to serve them and really work on their individual education plans. So I think it's better to hear from the people who are actually doing it.
As a preschool teacher, I teach students ages 3 to 5 years old, and we follow an inclusion model. So we have students that serve as positive peers, and we also have students with disabilities in our classroom. We, as preschool teachers, really work hard to provide our students with meaningful play experiences in our classroom because our students learn the most through play. We also work really hard to create a caring and nurturing environment where all students can learn together and grow together in the same classroom.
Hi, I'm a paraprofessional. My job is with the preschool to assist the teacher in the classroom to make sure the children are on task and making better choices. So at any given time, I may do small groups with 3 or 4 children and review skills that the teacher has taught that morning. When the children are in their centers, I would help them make sure that they're making choices, playing nicely with their friends, sharing, taking turns, and that can be in our housekeeping area, in our books, as well as playing with blocks.
So I am a speech language pathologist, and my role in the preschool classroom is to help our youngest learners who've been identified with disabilities, help them build their language and communication skills. So I get to work directly in the preschool classroom, and I get to work with them during all their daily activities. So their center time and their arts and crafts and sensory activities and their play time, and that's really helpful for them. Play is so important for them at this age, and it's a huge part of their development, and so it's a perfect context for me to work on language and communication within that.
I am a physical therapist, and in the preschool classroom, I work with children to make sure that they can access their preschool classroom. And sometimes that looks like providing them different seating options, different chairs to sit in or different ways to be included in circle time or at the table. And sometimes that looks like helping them on the playground or to walk to the cafeteria or to sit in the cafeteria with their friends.
I'm an occupational therapist, and in our preschool classrooms, we work on reaching developmental milestones that are so important during this time of early intervention. We focus on fine motor skills and self-help skills and meeting the sensory needs of our students, while we also provide adaptive equipment in our classrooms. We collaborate with preschool teachers and other therapists to ensure that we provide an enriching environment where all of our students can learn and grow.
So hopefully you got a glimpse into some of their work that they do and the different roles that they play in the preschool classroom. So know that we do have to provide state-approved curriculums, but we're also providing therapies, and those all depend on the individual student's needs. So not all students are going to need OT or PT or speech services. It really depends on that individual student. So how do we find these students and how do they come to us? It's a varied way that we put out these big nets and we try to really find students who need to benefit from these services. So that know that a lot of students who are identified with disabilities or issues or challenges that they face, they're enrolled through the Tennessee Early Intervention System. And that's a state mandated program where they actually have OTs, PTs, SLPs that are going out and serving students up until the age where they hit 3, till they turn 3, and those students are then transferred over to us where we're providing services for those students. So it's a passing of the baton with those individuals. There's also the Child Find program where we're working and talking to pediatricians or individuals who may help families identify the fact that their child may have developmental delays and may benefit from some of these services. And we're looking for all students who may benefit from special education services. And then within GMSD, our own staff and psychologists can work with providing assessments or answering questions for families. So we're trying to find those children who are going to benefit from our services. Now, we also have positive peers in the classroom, and we've talked about this with our legislators. Historically, we had 2 typical peers who were serving almost like mentors for students and modeling positive behavior for students in that classroom setting, but the Department of Education said that that was not a truly inclusive model. So they said that we have to have at least a 50-50 split of typical peers with our students who are receiving special education services in our preschool classroom. And so if you've talked about this before, we receive about $21,000 from the federal government to support this program, and it costs us about over $800,000 to provide for this. So this is an unfunded mandate and something that we have to provide for our students, and we're taking that out of general fund dollars. So know that that's a challenge for us, but we know that this is a necessary service to provide for students. So we do take typical peers and their ages 4 and 5 to join those classrooms. There's a screening process to determine their appropriateness, their readiness to serve in that typical peer fashion, and there's never enough seats to serve all the people who want to come to our preschool program. So know that people apply, and not everyone gets to join this program, but we do start with our GMSD staff members and then move to Germantown residents, and there's an application process. So you can find out about being a typical peer up until February 2nd. You can apply, but it's on our website where you can find out about being a typical peer in these preschool classrooms. So there are parent resources. One, your first touch when you're working with your children, if you're concerned about developmental delays, is going to be your pediatrician. So know they can help you. If you have questions about our preschool program or other services we provide, you can reach out to our exceptional education department here, and there's the phone number listed. But there's also an incredible website called Kindergarten Readiness for parents who are concerned about, is my child ready to go to kindergarten, or what skills do they need, that you can go and look at those on the state site, which is Kids Central TN. So there's an example of a screenshot from the Kids Central site talking about some of those. And the one thing we talked about this morning is we got to be careful. This isn't a checklist, and we have so many families who want their children to be incredible, and they're going to go through like this website like it's a checklist. Oh, my child needs to know this and this and this, and make sure they're doing all of these things. That's not the objective. All children develop at different rates. Know that these are just some of those things that you can work on at home. I hope that no parent goes to this and prints it out and starts working and checking these off for their children. And that concludes my report on our preschool program. Hopefully you have a little more information about how our preschool, not voluntary pre-K program works in GMSD.
Thank you, Mr. Manuel. Next item on the agenda is citizens to be heard. Ms. Drewlinger, do we have anyone who's turned in a form?
I do not.
Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda, which includes approval of the minutes, miscellaneous fiscal year 23-24 budget amendment number 16, and approval of $25 club fee for the Fashion Club at Houston High School. Is there a motion to approve all items on the consent agenda?
I move to approve all the items in the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Griffith and seconded by Ms. Oaf. Ms. Drewlinger, if you please call the roll.
Mr. Curry?
Yes.
Ms. Griffith?
Yes.
Ms. Oaf?
Yes.
Dr. Chatham?
Yes.
Chairman Strain?
Yes. Motion passes. On to the board action items. Action item 9A is DHA Board Appeal for Student 1. Is there a motion regarding this action item?
I move to affirm the decision of the hearing authority without a hearing.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Oaf and seconded by Mr. Curry. Ms. Drewlinger, if you'd please call the roll.
Ms. Griffith?
Yes.
Ms. Oaf?
Yes.
Dr. Chatham?
Yes.
Mr. Curry?
Yes.
Chairman Strain?
Yes. Motion passes. Next on the agenda is DHA Board Appeal for Student 2. Is there a motion on this action item?
I move to affirm the decision of the hearing authority without a hearing.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Oaf and seconded by Dr. Chatham. Mr. Erlinger, if you please call the roll.
Ms. Oaf?
Yes.
Dr. Chatham?
Yes.
Mr. Curry?
Yes.
Ms. Griffith?
Yes.
Chairman Strain?
Yes. Motion passes. Next on the agenda is approval to purchase security glass film. Is there a motion regarding this action item?
I move to approve the purchase of Tier 2 interior and exterior or plus exterior installation security film in the amount of $199,227.99.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Griffith and seconded by Mr. Curry. Is there any discussion?
I want to thank, I assume operations and part of student services maybe that participated in this collectively. GMSD and in partnership as well with our local Germantown Police Department. When I tell people that I feel good, adequate, safe, because I feel like everyone that is in our district and in our community in a leadership role of trying to keep students and staff safe on a daily basis, there's always more, and we're always trying to improve, and we're always trying to expound upon that. Like, what is ever enough? There's no way that any parent or staff member that sends their child or shows up to work in a public school or any school setting, we know private as well, from preschool to, unfortunately even post-secondary colleges and universities, that can have 100%, feel safe. That's just not the world we live in, unfortunately. This past year, our legislature came up with some additional scope that they would like for us to work within to try to make additional improvements. If I would tell people in the community previously that we were ahead of the curve, we maintain that trajectory and continue to add as many possible extra safety precautions as possible. and I just am so thankful that I live in a community that prioritizes that from top to bottom. And it's unfortunate that these are things that we have to think about, but they are, and they're things that we take so seriously. So to add this, and frankly, this type of security measure is one that specifically gets brought up about glass and windows and access as far as that goes from materials of our facilities and buildings. And it's one that parents often bring to me as an example. So I'm really pleased to see the investment and to achieve this installation of security film. And again, thank you for everyone that worked to bring this to us.
To echo Board Member Griffith's point, it's unfortunate we're in an environment where we have to have this. But I am glad that we're making the investment, and I'm also glad that the state is contributing to this. So a very significant portion of this is covered by a state grant for safety and will help defray some of the costs that we're going to have on this. You can't put a price on safety, and so, I'm glad we're making the investment, but I'm also glad the state has stepped up and is helping districts around the state with the school safety grant. I think this will make a big difference. Obviously, we can't talk about where this is going to go for a variety of reasons, but know that we're making an investment in our school buildings and safety for our students. And I wish we weren't in this position, but I'm glad we're taking the steps necessary to protect our students.
This is one of those topics you look at and you just kind of that heartbreaking reminder that the world feels like it's on fire. I pray that we never need things like this. And as a dad, I'm grateful that we have them and that we have such a robust safety plan. And just looking at the rationale for this, it is an opportunity to say thank you to GM, or police department, and the partnership we have with them, and the officers who come to these meetings to keep an eye on us. We're just grateful for them and the heroes who are ready to respond to that call that we hope we never have to make.
There's no one solution for the security issues. This is another step we've taken. I'm glad we're doing this. Again, this will slow down any sort of active shooter situation, but we have to keep pushing on everything that our kids and our teachers and our police officers are trained to do, and just keep working as hard as we can to prevent anything like this from happening in the first place. Mr. Linger, if you'd please call the roll.
Dr. Chatham?
Yes.
Mr. Curry?
Yes.
Ms. Griffith?
Yes.
Ms. Ove?
Yes.
Chairman Strain?
Yes. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is Resolution 6 for this year, honoring Jason Manuel on 10 years of service as Superintendent, Germantown Municipal School District. Before we take a motion on this, I'll read the resolution into the record. Whereas Jason Manuel has spent his entire adult life educating students in Germantown schools as an instructor, coach, and administrator. And whereas on January 7, 2014, Mr. Manuel was named the first superintendent of the Germantown Municipal School District, position he has held ever since. And whereas Superintendent Manuel has led GMSD's continued success as one of the most academically challenging and accomplished school districts in the state, with GMSD consistently ranked as one of the highest performing districts by every objective measure. And whereas Superintendent Manuel has worked tirelessly to expand GMSD's course offerings and to enhance academic programs, including preschool, exceptional student education, honors, advanced placement, dual enrollment, science, technology, engineering, and math, career and technical education, and the fine arts. And whereas Superintendent Manuel has hired a highly talented team of professionals dedicated to the success and well-being of GMSD's students. And whereas Superintendent Manuel has endeavored to create an environment at GMSD where students thrive and professionals flourish, with all being given the opportunity to achieve their goals. And whereas Superintendent Manuel is overseeing more than $104 million worth of capital investment in the district, including renovations and additions to Riverdale Elementary School, construction of Forest Hill Elementary School in the district office, in addition to Houston Middle School, construction of the Houston High School softball complex, and development of the Houston High School master plan. And whereas Superintendent Manuel is active in a variety of community groups, faith organizations, and professional associations, including the Houston High Arts and Athletics Foundation, Leadership Germantown Alumni Association, Germantown Chamber of Commerce, the Orchard Church, where he has served on the pastoral ministry team and as a junior high leader and Sunday school teacher, the West Tennessee Workforce Collaborative, the Tennessee Office of Statewide Supports Southwest Center of Regional Excellence, or Southwest Core, the Tennessee Superintendent Study Council, the Association of Independent Municipal and Special School Districts, the Tennessee Organization of School Superintendents, and the American Association of School Administrators. And whereas Superintendent Manuel is recognized by his peers as a leader in professional development and advocacy for public education, including by being named to a leadership role in Southwest Core and being selected to represent superintendents in Southwest Tennessee on the statewide Superintendent Study Council Executive Committee. And whereas Superintendent Manuel has received numerous state and national awards during his time as superintendent, including National School Public Relations Association's Superintendents to Watch Award, the Tennessee Secondary School Athletic Association's AF Bridges Award for Outstanding Integrity and Ethics and Leadership, Tennessee Department of Education's Regional Superintendent of the Year Award, and the National School Public Relations Association's Communication Technology Award. And whereas Superintendent Manuel is a loving husband of 27 years to Melissa and the proud father of Katie, Jake, Neely, and Cece, and whereas Superintendent Manuel has diligently and skillfully performed his role as superintendent of the Germantown Municipal School District, earning the admiration, esteem, and great respect of the board, GMSD students and employees, and the community, now therefore be it resolved that the Germantown Board of Education hereby honors Superintendent Manuel on 10 years of service as superintendent and expresses its deep appreciation for him. Is there a motion regarding this resolution?
I move to approve GBOE Resolution 06, 2023-24, honoring Superintendent Jason Manuel on 10 years of service as Superintendent of the Germantown Municipal School District.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Curry and seconded by Ms. Griffith. Is there any discussion?
I think the resolution pretty much said everything that I could possibly say. I just think back to 10 years ago, actually a little bit before that, because we kind of had to start and then stop, or stop and then start. You know, it's kind of a little shaky at the start, but I remember the yes signs that we put out in the yard, and we're going to talk a lot about that this year. So I think we're, to go down memory lane. But I remember the yes signs, the yellow yes signs, that we needed the people of Germantown to vote yes because this was possible. And so the citizens voted yes, I believe twice, right? Yep, the citizens voted yes twice. And at that time, then the district was formed, and we had to start something from scratch and try to build the plane as it was flying. And there's been one constant throughout it all, and that's our superintendent, Jason Manuel. And so to see where we were is just an idea, a dream, the possibilities. To see where we were then to where we are today, I think it just is a testament to the leadership and the consistency that we've seen throughout. And I don't think people realize that really Superintendent Manuel's tenure here is really, tenure is in 10 years, just kind of the timing worked out on that. It's very rare for superintendents. You'd say the shelf life for a superintendent is just a few years. Matter of fact, our neighbor to the east, Collierville, they're on their third superintendent for the same time period. So I think we've been very fortunate to have Superintendent Manuel serve and be that consistent captain of the ship, and the results speak for themselves. And what it all leads to, I was looking back. So this was for the class of 2023. Because everything we do from start to finish is watching the students walk across the stage of graduation. And this is what we've created. So for the class of 2023, we had at least 39 million in scholarships. And I say at least because we don't always hear, students don't always report their scholarships, but what was reported to us was 39 million in scholarships. Last year, we had graduates appointed to the U.S. Naval Academy, the U.S. Air Force Academy, and the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy. We had Houston graduates earning a multitude of athletics and fine arts scholarships. Houston graduates attended schools from all over the country, including these from the U.S. News and World Report Top 20: Stanford, Columbia, Dartmouth, Notre Dame, Johns Hopkins, Northwestern, Vanderbilt, UCLA. Houston graduates were attending honors programs at universities all over the country, and many have received the highest levels of scholarships available to incoming freshmen. Houston graduates are pursuing careers in trades and healthcare and are walking out of high school with certifications earned through our CTE program. Our graduates cumulatively performed thousands of hours of community service during their time at Houston. That's the reality. Our dream back in the 2013-2014 timeframe led to that is our reality. And again, I think it's just is a remarkable accomplishment. I look forward to celebrating 10 years of GMSD this year, but tonight I'm very honored and proud that we have Superintendent Manuel as our superintendent, and just the work that we've accomplished here. I think that you have a lot to be proud of, and you know, I can't express how proud I am of your 10 years.
I think that it is, and Board Member Curry points on something. If you're in the school board world or in the public education world or even in the superintendent world, what he says is absolutely factual, and that superintendents aren't typically in that role for any more than about 4 years, I think is a rough average we hear in a lot of our trainings. And so to more than double that and be a constant, I think stability is something that we have all learned over the past 10 years is really something that is beneficial. In the education world, especially talking about educator prep, we have, in the midst of a teacher shortage in our country, we hear a lot about the term grow your own. And a lot of times that's having to do with high school students and going to college and maybe working towards an education field to come back. And every time I hear that, I'm thinking, we are growing our own. Mr. Manuel, he was one of us. He was, you know, he went to our schools, and then he taught at our schools. And then he was an admin and a coach at our schools. And now he's the head guy. He leads the whole district. So I think that's kind of a neat feeling when someone from the community is still invested in the community, and talk a lot to people about this current board being a board, all 5 of us are parents in the district. Mr. Manuel for 10 years has been a GMSD parent, not just a superintendent. You know, you don't have to be a parent to serve on the school board. You don't have to be a parent of children in the district to be a superintendent. That's not what I'm suggesting, but I do think it's something really unique in our community, and I think it's very specific to him. And that's something that's always stuck with me as well. In my time in service since 2018, what I will tell him, and I have, and what I'll tell anybody, is the amount of significant growth year after year and development that he has really taken on for himself as a leader, not only of our district, but in our community, is goes, I mean, it's just been more evident all the time. And so I'm thankful for that investment that he brings continual progress, and you know, that's what I said, and y'all hear me say progress is perpetual. You know, you can do something awesome, but that doesn't mean we just put our feet on the desk. It's like it's constantly evolving, and in public education, everything, as we know, is constantly changing. And so I find with his wisdom, especially in the anticipation of what's coming, and a lot of that has to do with the folks sitting here at this table that he surrounds himself with every day, and the faith and trust he has in you all, and it's really just great to witness. And so I'm really excited. I thought this was a great, thank you, Chairman Strain, for putting this wonderful piece together, and I'm really excited to support it this evening.
I'm sure the other board members like me, right after you're elected, constantly get asked, what things do you like about being on the school board? And what I always tell people pretty early on, one of my favorite things has been getting to know Jason Manuel. I find him to be a good man, a man of faith, He's taught me an awful lot about public schools since being elected. He's passionate about the district, all the way from the students, the teachers, the buildings, his team, us. He just wants everyone around him to be better. He doesn't always agree with me. I mean, you can't ask anybody to be perfect. But on the very few instances we disagree, I always come away from those conversations knowing a lot more about the subject than I did before, so I appreciate that. You know, really the only hang-up I had on this vote was he keeps bringing that dadgum Alabama cup to work sessions. So, you know, things to work on, but I tell people I'm thankful that he's my boy's superintendent, and I hope he'll hang around a while.
Well, I want to thank Mr. Cathy and Ms. Crowder and Ms. Stratton who took a look at this and gave me some ideas as well, which again goes to show, you know, the team that you work with cares about you and is proud of all the work you've done too. I knew this wasn't going to be your favorite thing in the world. I was hesitant to name names here at the table because I didn't want them to get in trouble, but they know, and you really are a humble man who doesn't want this attention, doesn't need this. I don't think anybody probably would have known that this was your 10th year if I hadn't bugged Ms. Stratton and Ms. Baker's probably 3 times asking, make sure I had the right date. But we really do appreciate everything you do. I mean, you've shaped GMSD into what it is. You really are the captain of the ship, like Mr. Curry says. You set the expectations from the top. And I've just enjoyed getting to know you on a personal level. To really know Mr. Manuel is to know someone who just really loves children and education and this district in particular. You said Coach Thomas bleeds black and silver. You do too. You always have. I met you when you were selling Airheads in the lobby at Houston, but you've been here well beyond the beginning of the district, and we're just glad to have you here, and thank you for being the one who's leading it.
So I had to make notes because I could get emotional. 10 years is a long time. And I've been fortunate enough to share 7 years of this journey. And we look a little older. Have you looked at pictures? Don't look at pictures. And it has been a journey with peaks and valleys, with rivers to ford and walls to scale, with pandemics to survive. All along the way, I have watched you grow and your team grow with you. Particularly over the last 4 years, during a time that we have faced unimaginable circumstances, you led your team and this district with fortitude, creativity, and integrity, keeping first things first, the safety of our students and staff and families, and continuing to educate our children throughout. Not only has GMSD set the bar for the state during the pandemic, as the Tennessee Department of Education recognized, under your tenure, GMSD students, teachers, and staff continue to excel in academics, in leadership, in CTE, in arts, in athletics, and I could go on and on. But what's different is your team doesn't just sit on its laurels. It isn't just satisfied with sitting there. You look for avenues of improvement and opportunity. You know, as does your cabinet, that excellence is not stagnant. It continues to strive, to work, to stretch. I look forward to seeing all of that you do in the next 10 years. And I wish you all the best. Congratulations.
Well, if I could just say one thing. First, I'm so thankful and grateful to be allowed to serve in this role. I'm thankful to the previous school boards that have worked to continue to keep us moving in this direction. I always talk about John Atkin and some of the things I learned from him about hiring and working with people for who they are, not necessarily what they know, and allowing them to grow. I think about my team and coming to work every single day and the people that we get to work with. If I just focus on students, providing for them and removing barriers and making sure that I have the best, most incredible team, it's a joy to come to work every single day, to be a part of GMSD, to be a part of this team. So you're right, Chairman Strain, that this isn't necessarily my love language or things that I like to take credit for, because I know that it takes incredible dedicated school boards and teams and teachers and staff in the school to achieve all these measures. All we're trying to do is move everything out of the way that's trying to stop them from achieving good work. So thank y'all very much, and I'm happy to have been here for 10 years.
Ms. Drudlinger, if you please call the roll.
Mr. Curry,
Yes.
Ms. Griffith,
Yes.
Ms. Ove,
Yes.
Dr. Chatham,
Yes.
Chairman Strain.
Yes. Motion passes. Let's see. And next item on the agenda is announcements. Let's see. 11th and 12th grade preview night at Houston High is February 1st at 6 p.m. School Board's annual retreat is February 3rd at 9:30 a.m. at Big Cypress Lodge. The Houston Cheer Show Night is February 4th at 4 p.m. at Houston Middle. February 19th is President's Day and a District Learning Day, meaning students are out of school. Farmington Footlights presentation of Matilda Jr. is February 21st through 25th at Farmington Elementary. Mustang Theater's presentation of Urinetown is February 23rd through March 2nd at Houston High. And finally, the board's next work session is scheduled for February 20th at 5:30 p.m. And the board's next business meeting is scheduled for February 27th at 6 p.m. Thank you all for coming, and we are adjourned at 7:19.